Hey guys, and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a full face of overhyped makeup products. So I'm going to be doing an entire full face of first impressions using a bunch of makeup products that are very well known, very much talked about, and very hyped up. So if that sounds good, let's get into it. We are working with, I have the Omega Tantastic Bronzer from Marc Jacobs. I have the Superglow Highlighter from Natasha Denona, the Jouer Essential High Coverage Concealer. I have the Kush Mascara, BFF Colourpop Eyeliner. I have a lot of products that we're going to be trying out in today's video, so I don't want to spend too long, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for my first item, I'm going to be trying out the Farsali Hydration Bae. I have tried this one other time before, so this is kind of like my second time. This is the only product that I've tried more than once, or really just one time. I'm trying it again. So this one is actually a new product to Farsali. You can use this as a primer or as like a sleeping mask, and it actually has all these little beads in it. And so I'm pretty much just going to be using this as my primer for today and just really just hydrating my skin. The blue little like exfoliating things do turn into just like regular, like they dissolve into your skin is what I'm trying to say. So I don't find that it like stays blue or anything like that, and it does feel very hydrating on my skin. And the first time I used it, I really didn't notice too much of a difference with my foundation or anything like that. I did notice obviously my skin felt hydrated, but as far as like lasting longer or anything like that, I really haven't tested out too thoroughly, so I thought I would throw it on before we applied our foundation in this video. For the primer, I like to kind of let it seep in a little bit when it's more of a like a thicker hydrating primer like that. So I'm going to throw on my brows really quickly. I do have a new brow gel to try out, but I don't have a new brow pencil. So I'm going to fill them in with the pencil and then we'll test out the brow gel. Alright, so brows are on. They always look so intense when I don't have anything else on my face. So once I have the rest of my base on, they won't look so intense. But the product I want to try out is the Milk Kush Fiber Gel. So I have the shade Dutch, and I'm just going to try this out as my brow gel over top. I always like to apply a brow gel, especially to the front of my brows, because I prefer the front to be flicked up a little bit. I don't really like the super feathered brow, but I definitely like having them a little bit more shaped and a little bit more stuck up in the front. This is definitely a very pigmented brow gel because I'm already noticing that it's stuck quite a bit in the front, like quite a bit of product up there in the front. So I'm actually going to go through with my spoolie and just try and spoolie that out, and hopefully this makes my brows stick down nicely as well. This is definitely very pigmented. I prefer mine to be like slightly pigmented but not too intense to where it's going to like really give me too much color. This one definitely has quite a bit of color in it. So we'll just see how it kind of holds up throughout the day. And then for foundation, I'm going to try this one from Yensa. I've heard a lot of really good things about this. Yensa is the brand owner of Pure Lease. So she came out with the second brand, and this one is Yensa. So this is their BC foundation. It's a BB plus CC full coverage foundation, and it's supposed to have SPF 40 in it, but it is supposed to be full coverage. So that's why I'm excited to try it out. And I'm going to use this actually with my sponge. I'm going to start with just like one pump and see how that works, and just apply this directly onto my face with my beauty blender. Shade match wise, this looks a little bit gray for me, but I think once I pounce it in, it'll actually work pretty well. And has a slight scent to it, but nothing too intense. And it does seem like it has definitely good coverage. It's covering like my moles up here, and it actually looks like it has a bit of dewiness to it too. Like it's definitely giving my skin a bit of radiance. Again, that could be the primer as well, but I'm not mad at the finish of this. It looks really pretty. So definitely a little goes a long way with this foundation as well, because we didn't really use that much. I still have quite a bit on my hand. I'm gonna run this down my neck, but I only did use like one pump. So obviously you only need a little bit with this because it is so full coverage. So for concealer, we're going to be using the Jouer concealer, and I purchased this one at the Sephora VIB sale. Quite a few of these products I did get at the sale, and I'm excited to try this out. This is something I've had on my list forever, and I just never ended up purchasing it when it first came out. But this is a highly hyped foundation. I feel like so many people recommend it and so many people love it. So I'm actually going to just do one side first just to see how it dries down because I've never tried this before. Anytime I try a new concealer, I always like to like do one side first because you don't know how fast it's gonna dry down, and I hate blending out like concealer that's already dried down. It's the worst. You just can't really place it where you want. But there's what it looks like. It looks like the match that we got is actually really good, and it seems pretty nice so far. I think that it definitely canceled out some of the purpleness I had going on. I'm gonna go ahead and run it on my eye as well. But it doesn't look like cakey right now. Obviously, it's already starting to settle into those lines I have right here, but anything is gonna do that, honestly, with me. But from side to side, I definitely think it did a lot for canceling out my lines right here, and I do think I actually picked a pretty good shade match. It doesn't feel heavy at all as well, and I used like a decent amount, probably the amount I would normally use with any concealer, and it also blends out pretty nicely. Our skin is definitely looking very radiant. Even that concealer I feel like has a radiance to it. For powder, we're going to be using the Hourglass Veil Powder, another very, very highly rated product. And I did get this for the Sephora sale, and this again is going to be like a sample size. So I'm going to just put a little bit out onto my cap right here. What I like to do is take the wet sponge. I'll pick a little bit up, and then what I like to do is actually go on my hands, kind of pounce it in so it's not just going to be like straight powder. And then I'll begin to work it onto my under eyes, and I do like working in this way, so I kind of go against my inner eye creases. I feel like that helps with applying the powder, and it doesn't make it look so cakey on my lines. This definitely seems like a very fine powder. The Laura Mercier, I know so many people love that powder, and I do really like it. I don't prefer it on my under eyes though. For me, it just ends up looking really, really cakey on my wrinkles, and it's not very flattering on me. And I know that's so many people's like holy grail favorite, but for me, I just feel like it's a little too thick. It's not very fine, you know? And so I always look for a finely milled powder when it comes to my powder, because with someone with a lot of under eye wrinkles, I don't want them to just like the powder to sit on top of them. I'd rather it kind of melt in a little bit more. I'm gonna apply a little bit over my pores. That is something that I feel like the Laura Mercier does a nice job of kind of just like blurring them. I feel like this does as well. There's something about just like a fine powder on top of them that honestly just gives them like a more airbrushed look. Lastly, I'm just gonna run a little bit of that on my eyes just to set my base. I don't like to have my eyes sticky at all. I like it set before I go in with any shades on my lid, so I'm just gonna set this really quickly as well. All right, so far I'm pretty impressed with everything we tried out. I'm gonna move on to bronzer now. I have the Omega bronzer from Marc Jacobs. This is like holy grail of the holy grails. Most raved about bronzer I feel like ever, and I finally got my hands on it, so here's what it looks like. If you haven't seen it before, I'm sure you have. For brush, I'm just going to be taking this one from Luxie. We'll pick a little bit of this up, and I kind of just like to stamp it along my cheekbones, and then I'll kind of blend it out after. So I'll kind of just place it where I want it. Definitely looks like it's going to be good for my skin tone. It's not going to be too orangey or too like muddy looking. I think the color match is perfect. So now that we're looking nice and bronze, I really like the tone of this. I think it's perfect for my skin tone. I am going to go ahead and apply some of this to my eyes as well as to my nose. So I'm going to contour a little bit. It's just a Sigma E40. I'm just going to run this very, very slightly down my nose. I don't like to do a too intense of a contour, but just kind of run it a little bit down my nose. And then we are going to be trying out that liner, but I'm actually going to do this bronzer as my lid shade. I don't really have a new palette that I want to share, so I'm going to just run this bronzer all over my lid and kind of just to give us a little dimension there, and then I'll go in with the liquid liner. So I am going to take a little bit of the Laura Mercier powder and just run this down my cheeks to kind of just carve out the bronzer just to like clean it up a little bit, and then I'll leave this on while we do our eye makeup. So for our eyes, we're going to be using the ColourPop liquid liner. I've been hearing really good things about this one as well, and we're going to just really quickly create a wing with this. So what I do for my wings is I actually just apply where I want the wing. So I'm going to be quiet for a second where I start it, and I kind of just flick it out. So flick it out like that, and then I actually do the same thing on the other side before I create the rest of the wing. It's just easier for me to map out, like to get them a little bit more even. So I kind of see where I went with that one, and then just do the same thing on the other side. And then once I have them mapped out, I'll go ahead and start midway on my lid and I will go ahead and apply the rest of the liner, and then I just kind of connect it to the rest of the wing. And this one seems a little bit skippy. It definitely seems very black and intense, but I should have kind of, I'm gonna do that actually, put a little bit out of my hand first. Sometimes that helps to not make it so, yeah, not to make it so splotchy. It's definitely a very, very black liner. So here is our wings. I don't think they're the most even they've ever been, but I'm kind of just going with it because I could spend all day with it, and honestly they just keep getting bigger and bigger, so I'm going to leave them alone. And now we're going to go in with the Kush mascara from Milk Makeup. This is definitely a very highly rated viral makeup product, so I'm going to go ahead and go in with this. I'm not going to use falsies today, so we'll really see how this mascara works. So I do really like the wand on it, and I definitely feel like it's sitting my lashes up pretty high. And I do like the volume that it's giving, like I said. I don't know if it's doing so much for like thickening my lashes, but it's definitely giving them a lot of volume. I did get some transfer up here, so I sometimes like don't always have that happen with my mascaras. It just depends on like how wet the wand gets. This one did get a little bit wet. So we're just gonna get a little bit closer here to the inner corner. Ooh, see, this is the issue. I just got it all over my face. Okay, so we are going to dust away this bake and then try out the Superglow from Natasha Denona. So I'm really excited to go ahead and test this out. I got it in the shade Fair, so this will be my first time trying this out. I'm just gonna pick it up on my normal highlighting brush and apply this to my cheekbones. Even with a first glance, it's definitely giving a really pretty glow to the skin. I'm gonna build it up just a little bit more. Definitely a blinding highlight. It looks like it's sitting nicely on the skin, like it's not sitting, you know, directly on the skin. It's kind of melting in. Definitely packs a punch for sure, even with one swipe of this. I don't know if this is one that you could really get, like if you are someone who likes like a very subtle highlight. I don't know that this is an option for you because it was pretty impactful on the first little bit I put on. I'm gonna actually apply a little bit of this to my inner corner as well, just to give us a little something on the inner corner. I did have a little bit of the liner smear up here, and I'm not gonna try and get that off because honestly I think it could ruin the liner completely. I'll do it after I'm done filming, but for now just know I did smudge a little bit on the upper lash line. I like that on the inner corner too. I think it's really nice. And then we're just gonna lastly go in with our lip color. I just have a new lip product from Stilazzi to try out. So this one is called their Get Fizzy Lip Cream. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with this lip pencil first. I got this one in my BoxyCharm from Vintage by Jessica Liebskid, and this is in Mocha. So I'm first gonna go in with this lip liner, and then we'll go in with the cream lipstick. All right, so now let's go in with the lipstick shade. Again, this one is in Get Fizzy, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply this one over top. For gloss, I'm gonna add this one from Stilazzi as well. This one is in Sip, and we'll finish off the look with adding this one on top. All right, so I'm just gonna finish with a quick spritz of my Morphe Setting Mist, and this is gonna be our complete look, full face of viral, overhyped makeup products. I really quickly just want to run through the products with you guys. So the Kush Brow Gel, I definitely think that's a very pigmented brow gel. I didn't hate it. I just think you have to go in very light-handed with it. For the Hydration Bae from Farsali, I do really like the product. I think it's very hydrating on the skin. I do think it's one of those things you kind of have to let seep in for a while. So like I did my brows and then I went in with my foundation. It's a little bit heavy if you just go directly in with your foundation. So as long as you let it set in for a few minutes and then apply your foundation, you are good. For the Yensa foundation, I actually think it looks really pretty on my skin. My skin looks very natural, very glowy. I think you only had to use a little bit with that one to get a lot of coverage. So I did really like that. The Natasha Denona Super Glow I think is so beautiful on the skin. I'm loving that one. The BFF liquid liner from ColourPop, I liked it. I want to try it out again because I do feel like I said, I got a little bit of transfer there. So I kind of just want to test it out a little bit more. I would definitely recommend kind of letting it bleed out on your hand before you go directly in, or else it's kind of going to skip. The Jouer concealer I did really like as well. The bronzer I liked. The Kush mascara was the only thing that I was kind of like about. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like it did anything like amazing for my lashes like everyone talks about it does. You know, it's a very viral product, so I wasn't sure what to expect with with it, but I think for me that one was like a little bit disappointing, but I'll continue to try it out. I do really like this lip combo right here from Stilazzi. Let me know down below what your favorite product was that I used in today's video, or a product that you guys feel like is very viral, overhyped. Drop it down in the comment section. Don't forget to give this one a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, friends.